What Abouters. Welcome back to another segment of What About? All right, so first of all, we are so thankful for everybody who has been watching and following. This was very evident last week when on Thursday evening a group of people came into church and started looking at all the stained glass windows and talking about it, and then started asking questions about this window that we have not yet covered. So they came up to me and said, hey, when are you guys going to get to what those four creatures mean? Well, guess what? That segment is today. So we are going to talk about the four creatures pictured behind us. If you have an old worship calendar, the ones that we used to put together, Pastor Sandra laid out his whole year for us, the back page actually always had an explanation of the cover, because we find that we are always in the year of Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John.
Yeah, so the Lutheran Church follows a 3-year lectionary, which means that over the course of 3 years, our readings, again, also done with purpose, our readings are chosen for us so that throughout 3 years, you end up reading the whole Bible. And so we get to hear those in the worship services, but then each year kind of gets a name, you know, so the year of Matthew, the year of Mark, the year of Luke.
However, John does not get his own year. He gets to share the year with Luke. And we are currently in the year of Luke. So you'll kind of notice that our readings, the gospel readings, will switch back and forth between Luke and John. And each of those guys are pictured here, represented by the four living creatures that we find in Ezekiel chapter 1, verses 10 through 14, which Jamie will now read for us.
Yeah, so it says, their faces looked like this. Each of the four had the face of a human being, and on the right side had the face of a lion, and on the left the face of an ox. Also each had the face of an eagle, and such were their faces. They had 2 wings spreading upward, each wing touching that of the creature on either side, and each had 2 wings covering its body. Each one went straight ahead. Wherever the Spirit would go, they would go, without turning as they went.
So we see a very complex reading. We also see it appear in Revelation, which is also another very complex book. But the early church decided that these 4 gospel writers were going to be represented by these 4 creatures. So up here we have Matthew, which, like Jamie said, was represented by the face of a man. We often find Matthew also with a pen in his hand. He was an accountant, so he is always writing. He also starts his gospel with the genealogy of Jesus. So here we have Matthew, he's the face of a human, recording those types of things.
And then above me at the top, we have Mark, which is depicted by a lion. And so Mark starts his gospel with the voice of one calling in the desert. A very powerful, very bold statement in the beginning. And so Mark is seen as a lion who shows strength, who shows courage, and is bold.
Down here we have a bull, and Luke is represented by the bull because he opens his gospel with the presentation of Jesus in the temple. If we go back to Old Testament readings, we find that coming to the temple, there were sacrifices made and you had to bring an animal for sacrifice. And so hence the bull, because of the presentation of Jesus in the temple and the sacrificial animals. So.
And then last but not least, we have John here depicted as an eagle. So like we said before, John's kind of the one gospel of the 4 that stands out. The other 3, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, are called synoptic gospels, meaning they kind of follow the same path. They saw the same thing. They wrote the same thing. John is different. John covers things not in the same order. Nope. John covers things a little bit differently. John talks more about like high and lofty things. So rather than what's on the ground, his thoughts are very lofty. So like an eagle soaring above, that's how John is. John also talks a lot about the incarnation of Jesus and what that means for us. So again, something very lofty thinking, high thinking.
So yes, so once again, all things in this church, in the windows, in the sanctuary itself, all have a meaning and a purpose. And we see that these 4 gospel writers who are depicted by these 4 creatures here behind us also have a meaning and purpose. We have one more set of stained glass windows that we have not yet tackled. We will bring those to you next week because then we dive deeper into the Lutheran service book, which is the order of service that we follow here at Blessed Savior in New Berlin. And so we have one more window to cover with you, and then we will take a deeper look at what exactly is held in our worship service.
Also done with a lot of purpose.
Yes. So we'll see you next time, What Abouters?